The tribunal chamber stretched endlessly in all directions, its crystalline walls pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that hurt human eyes to perceive. James stood at the center of the observation platform, his hands bound by energy restraints that hummed with alien frequencies. Around him, 12 members of the Galactic Council observed from their elevated positions, their varied anatomies representing species that had mastered the stars before humanity had discovered fire. Akira watched from the viewing gallery, her knuckles white as she gripped the railing. She'd warned him. She'd told James that challenging the Council's authority would end badly. But he'd insisted on taking their diplomacy assessment, a test that supposedly measured a species' readiness for full membership in the galactic community. Human. Designate James Parker, the Council speaker announced, its translation implant rendering the melodic clicks and whistles into flat English. The speaker resembled a massive mantis, its compound eyes reflecting James's image 1,000 times over. You have completed the proving. Your species has failed. James said nothing. He simply stared at the speaker with an expression Akira knew all too well. The same look he'd worn when their colony ship had been attacked by pirates, when he'd talked their way out of 3 separate death traps using nothing but nerve and improvisation. The simulation presented you with a standard first contact scenario, continued the speaker. You were to demonstrate restraint, patience, and diplomatic acumen. Instead, you responded with aggression. I responded with survival, James replied evenly. A ripple of disturbance moved through the council members. The Vexnari representative, a being of pure energy contained within a magnetic bottle, flickered irritably. You destroyed the diplomatic vessel in the scenario. You killed the ambassadors. I destroyed a ship that was positioning weapons on my colony, James corrected. I saved 40,000 lives. The scenario was designed to test your restraint. Another council member, a Thulian, all tentacles and phosphorescent skin, slammed an appendage against its console. The ship was merely performing standard security protocols. You were meant to wait to communicate, to show patience. Akira felt her stomach twist. She'd seen the scenario afterward, analyzed it as part of her own diplomatic training. The council had designed it to be a trap, a situation where the correct response was to allow your people to be threatened, intimidated, even harmed, all in the name of proving you could be dominated peacefully. James tilted his head slightly. How long was I supposed to wait while they charged their weapons? As long as necessary, the speaker insisted. Every species that has passed this test understood that violence is never the answer to first contact situations. Really? James's voice remained calm, almost conversational. So when the Thexkari invaded Vexenari space 3 centuries ago, your people just waited patiently? The Vexenari's containment field brightened sharply. That was different. And when the Zolok Hive attempted genocide against the Thulians, you all sat down for tea and discussed feelings? The Thulian representative's skin flashed through several colors Akira recognized as embarrassment and anger. James continued, his voice gaining an edge that made even the council members lean back slightly. Every single species on this council earned their seat through conflict. You fought wars. You defended your people. You survived. And now you sit here, safe behind your fleets and your treaties, and you design tests to make sure no one else can do what you did. We have evolved beyond such barbarism, the speaker said, but its mandibles clicked nervously. We seek to prevent others from repeating our mistakes. No, James said quietly. You seek to prevent others from becoming strong enough to challenge you. The silence that followed was absolute. Akira watched as James straightened despite his restraints, his gaze sweeping across each council member in turn. She'd known him for 6 years, had served alongside him through the colony establishment, through pirate raids, through resource shortages that should have killed them all. She'd seen him negotiate with alien merchants who viewed humans as curiosities at best, prey at worst. She'd watched him turn every disadvantage into leverage. Here's what I don't understand, James said. And Akira recognized the tone. He was about to spring his trap. You've called me here to tell me I failed, to tell me that humanity isn't ready for the galactic community, to tell me that we're too violent, too aggressive, too dangerous. He paused, letting the words hang in the air. But I'm still standing here, alive. The speaker's antennae twitched in confusion. What is your point, human? My point, James said, and now his voice carried a weight that made Akira's breath catch, is that I just spent 3 hours in your simulation, I identified your weaknesses. I cataloged your defensive blind spots. I mapped your tactical response patterns. And at the end of that simulation, every single one of your diplomatic vessels was disabled or destroyed, and my colony survived. He took a step forward. The energy restraint sparked but didn't stop him. So if I'm really as dangerous as you claim, if humanity is really the threat you say we are, then why did you bring me here? Unarmed and alone to this station? Another step. The restraints crackled more intensely. Why did you let my ship dock? Why did you give me access to your security protocols to reach this chamber? Akira saw it then. The sudden understanding that flickered across alien faces, the way postures shifted from authoritative to defensive. Why? James asked softly. Are you all still breathing? The Thulian representative's tentacles coiled tightly. The Vexnari's energy field dimmed. Even the speaker seemed frozen. You wanted to test if humans could show restraint, James continued. If we could choose peace over violence. Well, congratulations. You got your answer. I'm standing in a room with the 12 most powerful beings in known space. And despite every tactical advantage I've identified in the last 3 hours, despite every simulation that trained me to survive at any cost, despite failing your test, he smiled. And it was not a pleasant expression. I chose to let you live. So tell me, Council, did I really fail? Or did you just not recognize what passing looks like? The chamber erupted in chaos. Council members shouted over each other in a dozen languages, their translation implants struggling to keep pace. But Akira kept her eyes on James, watching as he stood perfectly still at the center of the storm. Unbound now, the energy restraints had dissolved at some point, though she hadn't noticed when, finally. The speaker raised its forelimbs, demanding silence. When it spoke again, its voice carried a note Akira had never heard from a council member before. Respect. Human James Parker, it said carefully. Perhaps we need to reconsider our assessment criteria. James nodded once, his expression neutral. But as he turned to leave the chamber, his eyes found Akira's in the gallery, and she saw the fierce triumph there. Humanity had just passed a test the council hadn't even known they were giving, and the galaxy would never be quite the same.